Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Inside Halos podcast, the home of the fan. My name is Bryan Whitfield, founder and creator of Inside Halos, and today I'm joined by someone you've already heard on this channel, Inside Halos writer and today's co-host, Jacob Firmage. Jacob's done a great couple of interviews on the podcast, but this is the first time we're teaming up for an episode together. Jacob, let the people know where they can follow you.
Yeah, so the main place to find me is going to be on X at JacobF_IH. If you have any questions or want to just talk about any of the articles that we put up, just reach me there, and best place to reach me.
Perfect. There you go. Make sure you guys follow him. He's been doing great work for us, and you'll see a lot more from him this offseason. And if you're new here, follow us on Instagram, X, and TikTok at Inside Halos, and check out InsideHalos.com for articles, updates, rumors, and more. This podcast is available on Spotify and YouTube, so make sure to subscribe if you want to stay plugged in all off-season long. All right, let's talk winter meetings. Let's get right into it. All right, let's jump into the news. And starting off, the Angels actually made a move this morning. They traded for Vaughn Grissom, shortstop, infielder of the Boston Red Sox. He was traded originally for Chris Sale from the Braves to the Red Sox, and they traded Isaiah Jackson to the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, Vaughn Grissom, I think he's a guy a lot of Angels fans kind of had an eye on for a few years now. Coming from the Braves, there's been that connection, obviously, since Perry came over. He's a former 55 grade prospect with MLB.com. I was looking at that, bat first, but he offers that flexibility where he's going to slide all around the diamond. Him and Peraza are going to switch off there. Triple numbers were okay. If he's starting, I do think the offseason definitely went off track from where we'd all like it to be. But definitely he's an upside piece at 24, about to be 25. A name, like I said, a lot of us wanted for a while and could be around for a bit now. No options, I believe. That's the only downside to it, but definitely a piece you take that chance any day of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Completely agree with you. Isaiah Jackson, who was the number 25 ranked prospect in the Angels organization, was drafted in the 8th round. He's actually a friend of the show, followed on Instagram a couple weeks ago, talked to him a little bit earlier today. Seems like he's stoked to join the Red Sox, although he is thankful for the opportunity with the Angels, even though it was short and brief. But Grisham should be a pretty good piece for us, I think. Good depth move overall. And I think just going to end up competing with Peraza. I think Paris is probably going to end up starting in the minor leagues along with Guzman. I don't think he was really ready and called up maybe a little too early, but all going to be competing for a spot on the current roster in spring training.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Jackson, I think Jared Timms pointed out today, he's going to probably end up sticking in center field. Uh, but I think that's someone, because he was just drafted, a lot of Angels fans were upset by seeing him move so quickly. But, realistically, that's a move, bottom-ish farm system for the Angels, 25th in theirs. It's probably not going to be someone long-term you would like to think Angels come out on top, but not really something that you should think twice about.
Yeah, completely agree. Plus, Grisham was once top 100 prospect with the Braves. Like you said, Perry does have that connection. He was there when they drafted him out of high school, so probably has a lot of trust in the guys he drafted there. I mean, not to say he didn't have trust in Jackson, but Jackson was an 8th rounder. Credit to him for trading that 8th rounder for a top 100 prospect former.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, shifting gears a bit, the draft lottery also took place earlier today, and the Angels ended up with the 12th pick in the 2026 MLB draft. This one is a deeper draft than we've seen in a while. Prospect rankings are going to change a decent amount. We saw Jace Laviolette ranked number 2, which we were the number 2 pick last year, and he ended up falling down the draft board quite exponentially. So things are going to change quite a bit between now and then, but a lot of interesting players on there for sure.
No, absolutely. A lot of interesting people that are going to fall, and it's going to, like you said, it's going to switch a lot between now and then. Not, unless you're really an expert, no reason to really dive on in a ton there. I think I've seen it around, Angel socials and everything today is we all like the lottery. I think it helps try to mitigate some of the you know, teams that are going to just tank for number one for rock this year. But I mean, I don't love that you can't get back into the lottery as an Angels because they're one of those teams that has like the payer on it. I think that's due to, their revenue. But I don't love that Angels won 72 games this year. They're not really ready to be a team in the middle of the pack drafting. They should still be up towards that upper picks, but definitely definitely works out. Hey, so last year ended up moving up to two a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, if anything, this was probably the draft to move up. Not to say Bremner isn't going to end up panning out, but I mean, we did reach for Bremner when we probably didn't need to. Um, but still, 12th draft lottery. I think it's fun. I mean, it adds excitement to the offseason, but definitely wish we were picking higher. And I mean, like you said, the reason for that is we're a higher revenue team and we were drafted in the lottery last year, so ineligible this season, which is unfortunate.
Yes. Yeah. Hurt us, hurt the Nats. It's a weird part. Maybe it gets revisited in this next upcoming negotiation, but for now, it's where we are.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we've got the draft side covered, let's turn to the main event, the winter meetings. Jacob and I each picked a couple players we'd love to see the Angels go after within the coming weeks or even the offseason. Jacob, if you want to go ahead and rattle off some names.
Yeah, so the first one I picked was Jake Cronenworth. He's a second base. I know he's been playing a lot of first base before Rise kind of made that swap over. Down there in San Diego, I think he's like 5 years, 60-ish was his extension or where he's about now. Coming off a really good on base year, but he's just a quality all-around player. He's been about a two-WAR player pretty much throughout his career. Um, he's not the superstar. He's not the Angels going and getting Bregman. He's not them getting Bellinger, but he's the type of player you have on every good team. He fills a spot more. I mean, Perry said I think yesterday or today he's comfortable more needs to make that switch over to third after seeing some fall in strokes. I just think it's a move, a couple of years ago, even with Anderson after his struggles, maybe tried to make some sort of a swap there for bad salaries. But now, definitely, if they're just trying to get out from money there, doesn't cost a ton in prospects. You add a quality everyday player. That's one of my guys I'd love to see there filling up the inside, up the middle. Just could be a decent fit there.
Yeah, I've loved Cronenworth for a number of years at this point. Kind of wanted the Angels to acquire him a couple years back, but even now, I mean, he would still be an interesting candidate whether he ends up playing probably most likely second base, where you move more over to third, like Perry has kind of mentioned. But he, I think, has played even shortstop, which not saying play him at shortstop, but kind of nice to have a little bit of versatility here and there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for one of my players, I chose Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader, big defensive profile, mainly known for that defensive ability in center field as well as speed. Um, he had 277 average last year, 17 home runs, 54 RBIs, and 11 stolen bases. It was by far his best offensive season. He did win a Gold Glove as well with the St. Louis Cardinals a number of years back. Uh, MLB trade rumors has him projected to get 2 years, 26 million, so about 13 million AAV. Uh, about what Taylor Ward was going to end up getting. I did hear, however, that I think he was looking for, was it a 3 year deal, if I'm not mistaken? So I don't know if you feel comfortable doing that with Bader, but he would be a pretty nice upgrade in center field. Still has that defense ability, going to hit more than Bryce Teodosio, but definitely an upgrade from Teodosio on the offensive side, even if it was a career year for him on behind the plate.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer to keep it at two, like you said, it'd be great, but the Angels aren't really in a position to come in. It's not the Dodgers going, hey, we'll give you 2 years, high AAV. Angels are going to either have to give you more money or more years to get some of these guys. You go 3 years, it's not the most uncomfortable. He's a strong defender up the middle, like you said. He's not Teodosio at this point in his career, but the bat's there. The bat really, even his career averages, he's a sure upgrade. He's a true center fielder. He helps the club. He does. Definitely, and it's a position of need too. It's not necessarily moving more off position like mine or finding a new spot for, forcing Adele to play center because you grab a right fielder. No, you're getting someone who fits a need. It's a move that makes sense for the Angels, makes sense for a lot of teams, but if they have to go three for, 36 to 39 for him. I don't think it's terribly unreasonable, especially if that offensive, production this year was real.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, being the Angels, like you said, probably going to have to overpay for him. Maybe adding that extra year ends up locking him down instead of upping the AAV, but we'll see kind of there as far as Bader and his market. I'm sure Philly is more than wanting him back.
No, absolutely. I mean, they have no reason not to. I think Marsh at this point is more of a left fielder, so for them, it makes a lot of sense to try to bring him back to play center if they, miss on someone else now, especially after giving Schwarber, 5 for 150 today.
Big contract there.
Yes. And then if we're ready to move on, the next one I had was Chris Bassett. I know we were messaging about him early in the week last week, and then came out Heyman, I think, and a few other guys saying Angels were interested in him. Past 4 years, 107 innings each year, near under 4.2 ERA every year. Most years, actually, except for one, I think, was under four completely. Peripherals have been okay. The reason I like him a lot is you look at some of the other arms out there, and you look at the Angels' rotation with Rodriguez, you look at Soriano to a degree, Detmers. There's a lot of work for Maddox to do. I like the option of one guy you just plug in, you tell him to go do what he's been doing. It's not a ton of work. He has his work cut out for him throughout this rotation. Not that he wouldn't, provide something to Bassett, but Bassett, is by far would be the biggest veteran in the rotation, the least question marks, and it gives you some certainty in that. Probably that three spot, honestly, for the Angels rotation pushes Rodriguez and Detmers down a bit and gives Manoah a chance to fight with probably Detmers for that five spot.
Yeah, I mean, Bassett has been probably one of the most consistent starters in all of baseball. He's made 30 plus starts in each of the last four seasons. So something that the Angels would be thankful to have on their team. Um, Not sure about cost. Don't know if I feel comfortable giving him close to that 20 million mark that I've heard. I think it's more like 19, but even then, don't know. He is a little older though, but like you said, very consistent. Would be a nice piece to slot into the middle of the rotation and give a little bit less pressure to Grayson Rodriguez, Reed Detmers, or even Alek Manoah for that matter. So for the final guy that I picked, it was Zach Gallen. We have been connected to him a little bit. Um, However, he's been a pretty good starter throughout his career. He is coming off of a down year where he pitched 192 innings, 175 strikeouts, 33 starts he made though, 4.83 ERA. His first half was a lot worse than his second half. I had him in fantasy, so I did suffer that first year or the first half of the season. 5.4 ERA the first half and a 3.97 ERA in that second half. He locked in a little bit in August. I think he had an under a three ERA, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was under 3.5. But he feels like a guy that could flourish with the Angels. Put him with Mike Maddox. He's been very consistent. Maybe you can get him back on track. He is one of the qualifying offer guys, so you'd have to give up a draft pick plus a little bit of bonus pool money in both the international and draft, and probably going to cost about 20 million or so. MLB Trade Rumors does have him predicted at 4 years and 80 million. I believe he's 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So that's getting him through age 34. Not terrible. So somebody that would be interesting for the Angels, and he'd probably be atop the Angels rotation if I had to guess.
Oh yeah, he would jump right to the top. I mean, like you said down year, and then you were like 33 starts, 190 innings. But right there, I mean, you already put him towards the top, if not the top for the Angels. Second half was a lot better, and he's been an ace. I know maybe on certain rotations he's not the number one, but there's at least 10 to 15 teams where he still is the number one going into next season. Would be, probably close to that Kikuchi, maybe like you said, that extra year puts him into the 80s, but I'd be more than comfortable if they want to make that jump. He would be one of the qualifying offer guys to make that risk for.
Yeah, for sure. He would be a nice candidate for the Angels, but we'll see what ends up happening at the winter meetings and the rest of this offseason. And before anyone panics about lack of rumors with the Angels, Jacob has made a great point earlier about Perry's style.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Is no rumors isn't a bad thing when you're the Angels or team. Perry came from the Braves, and they do the press release. They often break their own news, whether it was I think the Sean Murphy or even the Matt Olson deal potentially. Those were huge deals that were, across the league. Those were seen as huge ones, and they were press releases. You look at the rumors this offseason, Gallen, who Brian's mentioned, Bassett for me, Bellinger, neither of us mentioned, but he's been one I think Heyman's linked them to, and Boris Day made the angel remark in his little presser. Alonso last year, there's been so many guys the Angels constantly get linked to that they're kind of used as that leverage of, hey, they could spend because everyone knows Art, no, nobody knows with Artie. But you look at the moves already this year. Ward for Rodriguez. Yeah, we kind of knew Ward might be shopped, but it wasn't really a certainty. Manoah, Grissom, those were quiet. They're under the table. This is that model from Atlanta. You can sit back, enjoy the rumors. I know I get excited when I see, Angels in on Gallen or Angels in on Bellinger, but there's still moves to be made. They're still working. There's no reason to panic, especially we're sitting here December 9th, the winter meetings, besides a little bit of a break today have been pretty quiet. There's still a lot to be done. It doesn't mean nothing's being worked on.
Yeah, for sure. But overall, I mean, three moves that they have made have been pretty good with a lot of upside. So we'll end up seeing what happens there. But don't panic. Don't hit that panic button quite yet, Angel fans.
No.
Moving on to the Rule 5 draft, this is where things always get interesting. Last year, the Angels selected Garrett McDaniels in the draft. Jacob and I each picked a Rule 5 guy we'd be interested in taking a chance on. For myself, I chose right-handed pitcher Jose Rodriguez from the Dodgers, going back to that Dodgers farm system after selecting McDaniels last year. Rodriguez, though, would be a nice bullpen piece. 86 to 88 mile per hour changeup. He has a funky delivery, and he does have a 67.3% whiff rate on the changeup in 2025. Honestly, I think pairing him with Mike Maddox, and I'm going to keep on mentioning Maddox because he's going to be a big part of this staff. He could be a really interesting arm out of the bullpen going into spring training, competing. You do have to keep him on that 26-man roster if you want to keep him throughout the year. But I mean, worst case scenario, you just ship him off back to the Dodgers. So I think Rodriguez is probably an interesting pick, and Angels might take him tomorrow.
Yeah, the Angels are in a nice spot. I think they're at 36 now with Grissom for their 40 man. So, I mean, they have some room to make a couple pickups here and just try to see what sticks. And bullpen's the spot. Angels are wide open, especially with those comments Perry made where closer could be by committee. You take any chance you can get here. I think they should be really active. It wouldn't be surprised if they grabbed multiple players tomorrow. They should, in my opinion. This is where you can kind of build out that bottom end of the roster. And if something happens, you go grab a Kenley or a Luke Weaver, or any kind of reliever this offseason, you lose a guy that you picked up for nothing. It's not a big deal. Dodgers have been a pitching factor. I think they've put out quite a bit of good prospects, especially in the bullpen. We saw it in some of those games in the playoffs this year where they just kept going and they pulling guys that Dodgers fans might not even have known. So it's never bad to grab from there well at all. Um, then did you have anything else on Rodriguez there?
Not too much more on him. Another guy that I mean I'd be interested in, Daniel Susac, however, doesn't
Mhm.
make a whole lot of sense since he is a catcher. But yeah, if they didn't have Ohapi and Darno, he'd be a fun name for
Yeah,
sure.
he would. That was funny. That was one I looked at too, and I wanted to put him on mine. And maybe if there had been more to Ohapi moving off the position, I think they're going to keep him there with Stassi now. But Susak, he had such that pedigree that it's hard to see. He's going to get picked tomorrow. There's no way. I don't think he sits on the A's after tomorrow. But yeah, he'd be a fun one if they wanted to take that chance or even pick him up to move him in a flip of a deal tomorrow for someone else. But we'll definitely see there.
Yeah, I think the Rangers ultimately end up taking Susac, need a catcher. Feels like uh just destined right there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, then moving on from that, the guy I had actually was Blake Burkhalter. Little unfamiliar with him actually until I got looking into it today, and I saw there was a few fan pages for the Braves when I was looking up different guys who could be moves that were at one point in the offseason when I looked back, we're saying, oh, this guy could be added to the 40 man. He could be a potential roster spot next year. And then immediately after, we're just kind of shocked saying they probably wouldn't be back. He was a 3-year reliever in college, got moved to closer in his final year when he kind of got a little bit better control. But then the Braves actually tried using him as a starter. He has a 4-pitch mix, more of a 3-pitch mix because the changeup isn't the best, but that cutter is was pretty great off of at least what I could find online this year. Kind of similar to Ryan Johnson, that 91, 93 range. The fastball's touching 98, probably more mid 90s though. This year he had great numbers in Double A, got moved up to Triple A, but like I said, they're still working him kind of as a starter. Seemed to get some shoulder fatigue from what I could find online, so they moved him back to the bullpen, and velocity came back. Kind of seemed more ready. He's undersized, for pitchers. I mean, 6 foot, but that slider has changed a little bit. It seems to be a guy that, at least on the Braves pages that I could find, that they seem surprised he might not have been added because he could have been ready next year. Uh, the Angels have tinkered with relievers. Chris Cortez, Ryan Johnson was one that I think was a starter, then thought reliever, now back to starting. So Angels have messed with that, similar to other clubs, but again, follows that Braves pipeline to the Angels now. Just seems like a guy you could plug into the bullpen right now off of at least what I could find online, as a fun little project arm for, like I said, Maddox, who's that's going to be a big thing for the offseason for the Angels.
Yeah, and I mean, especially him connected to Atlanta already being there. Perry loves his guys there. I mean, you already saw it with Manoah, who briefly was there with them. You saw it with Grisham. You saw it even the minor league deal. They signed Manoah or Yanoa.
Yes.
But they've tapped that well quite a few times, so it wouldn't be too shocking if they went and grabbed another Atlanta guy.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, and so there's anything else as far as Rule 5 draft that you have to mention?
No, I think you got the extra one I was thinking of, which was Susac. I think that's just he'd be a fun one, but they really don't have the space unless they think he can move off of catcher a little bit. But no, I think those three would be fun ones to watch for tomorrow, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Plus, the Angels do have a couple of interesting candidates that could be selected. And that's Sammy Natera Jr., Joel Hurtado as well. Those are guys that could be selected in tomorrow's draft. So keep an eye out on who gets taken there and who the Angels might take at pick number 6. And that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover today. So we'll wrap things up here. That's going to do it for today's episode of the Inside Halos podcast. Huge thank you to Jacob for hopping on and breaking down the winter meetings with me. If you did enjoy the show, make sure to follow us on all socials at Inside Halos and check out InsideHalos.com for more updates, rumors, and analysis all off season long. You can listen to this podcast on Spotify and watch it on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you in the next episode.